Coming up in center circle, a Russian experience ended by injury. Hope for the Reggae Girls' former England coach would consider national program. And coach is willing to give young players their chance at the clubs. But how about the national team? In 2013, Reggae boy Luton Shelton signed a 3-year contract with Volga Nizhny Novgorod in the Russian Premier League. Everything was going good for the striker until the summer of last season when he picked up a knee injury.
Since I get the injury, I have some very difficulty with, recovering properly because of the facilities they have there and the doctors and everything. So it's kind of hard. And I'm in Russia. The pitch is not so good. It's very terrible most of the games because of the weather as well. Most of the times you have to be playing on AstroTurf and stuff like that. So it don't make my knee no better, So, what I did is that from the end of the year last year, actually it was in January, I went back for pre-season and I still having the problem. And what I did, I decided to go back and see my doctor. And my doctor said I have to be really careful. So since then, I really haven't really getting intimate in any football. I have another surgery to do, and I had some problems with the club by paying my salaries and stuff like that. So, kind of personal stuff. But I just been waiting and stuff, and didn't really tend to do a surgery at the point until the club wanted to pay for the surgery because it's very expensive surgery. No, I decided to do it, either, so because I've been waiting a while to hear back from them. I just trying to close off with them because I decided I'm not going back. To be honest, we were speaking with a doctor from New York, which is a specialist and stuff, and what I heard the last time was about 50,000 US. So. The whole point is that I didn't want to fund it. I know the club should take full responsibility for it. So I was trying to fight it to try and get the club to pay the whole of the surgery and stuff. So what I did is that I find a very good doctor as well in Denver, which we're trying to work with, and which I heard that it's one of the best places in America to do a knee surgery and stuff like that. So it's a little bit cheaper, which is almost half price cheaper. So I decided to go ahead and try to figure it out and deal with it as soon as possible. The surgery I have, actually, we're trying to schedule for the 17th or the 22nd, and I think with your doctor, it might be a two surgery, to be honest. So first I do one on the 17th or the 22nd. If I get the day booked, then after that I think maybe 6 to 7 weeks I do the other surgery, but not 100% sure if the second surgery requires. Just to do the first surgery now and see how it is, and then if the second surgery requires, then I'll go ahead with the second surgery in 6 or 7 weeks. So yeah, it looks like a whole 6-7 months until next summer before I'll be strong off it again.
And it's not only the bill for Shelton's surgery that the club is not paying. They are also behind on his salary.
With me now, I'm not having it, Once you start to treat me a certain way, then or try to, not pay my salary the right way, I'll just go home and fight it through FIFA, So the thing is that I wasn't getting my salary on time, so I come home because I know I can manage to be home. I don't want to be somewhere which I'm not happy and stuff like that, which is a country like Russia, So you know what? I just take my things and I come home and try to sort it out and buy here, because I know that actually they have to pay my salaries. Either I'm here or I'm not, because they're outstanding 6 months before. So once I fight through FIFA, I know it's a win-win case for me. I've been through FIFA. Now we're coming to negotiation with the club, so it's kind of hold off about the FIFA thing. We're waiting to hear back from them soon. Actually, maybe by it should be today or Monday the latest. And if not, if we don't hear from them in the way we want to, I think we're just gonna fight about the way through FIFA. They put me in a in a position that I had to choose a club or choose myself, you know, which is they asked me a question about, they wanted me to do a surgery in Russia, and I decided not to because I know no football player do surgeries in Russia, and because everybody, all the football players know we have very bad medical cares when it comes to sports athletes, and they will keep me and whatever, pay my salary on time and blah 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 like this, and I decided, and I said no, listen, you're giving me, seems like you're giving me two options. Either I do the surgery here and stay in your club, or I do the surgery with my own doctor, and it seems like we have to come to an agreement, you know. But I choose the agreement because I choose my health more than being in just choosing the club.
But Shelton doesn't think the lack of attention from the club is anything personal against him.
I actually don't say they treat me bad, it's just that they don't pay my salary on time and they don't pay for my medical care. So it's not like I'm a person who pay attention to how they treat people, because I don't allow people to treat me that way. So it's not going to say they treat me in a terrible way, it's just that, you know, I know normally if I'm working I should get my salary on time, and my medical bill should always pay flights and everything. But with this club, it's, you know, sometimes they have clubs who have financial problems, and I understand that, you know. We had a big high budget and then they get relegated, so, you know, they have to cut their losses, but they try to cut it very fast, and it was difficult to get some of the players them out, because, you know, players that take time to find clubs, not every player can be lucky to move on directly. So the problem I had is that I had interest from other clubs, but it was very difficult for me to move because of the injury. So the thing is that I had to stay there because I'm contracted to 2016, and I had to stay there, and there's nothing else I can do. They're not trying to ball me out of the club or try to tell me to get out or anything. They actually want me to stay.
More from the nation's leading scorer next week. Still to come, Hope Powell discusses the idea of coaching the national women's team. And two coaches weigh in on schoolboys. Hope's last visit to St. Elizabeth was back in 1995.
The reasons for not coming isn't because I haven't wanted to, it's just really time. So the last time I came was when, unfortunately, my grandmother died, so I came for the funeral. You know, it's just one of those things, work commitments. So for me to actually be here, and more importantly, stay there with me, would I consider it? Absolutely, absolutely. Not for me to mention, is it? I'm just, you know, like I said, if an opportunity presents itself and those opportunities were viable, and if I liked what it looked like, I would have to consider it. I'd be foolish not to, wouldn't I? You have to consider every opportunity. Whether you say yes to it is a different thing.
At 31, Powell became the youngest ever coach of any English national football team.
First black, first female, you know, youngest ever. I think they all came at the same time, so I can't really separate them, to be honest. I think, you know, I was approached to do the job, I thought about it was a great opportunity, and I did it, and I think I did an okay job for 15 years. Well, I think the definite low was losing the job, which I didn't want to happen, but unfortunately, you know, it wasn't my decision. I had many highs, to be honest. I had a really, really good time. I was very privileged. It gave me the opportunity to do something that I've never done before in a field that I'm really passionate about. I think one of the main highlights that really sticks in my mind, I think there's three actually. I think the first time we qualified for the World Cup in 2007 after not qualifying for the previous three World Cup tournaments, that was one. I think two, getting to the final of the European Championships in 2009 and unfortunately not winning but getting a silver medal. And I think the third one was probably being the manager for the Olympic GB team. Obviously it wasn't England, but it was in England, the Olympics in England, and being part of that whole event was just fantastic. So I've had a really, really good time, and I continue to have a good time, you know, here in Jamaica and delivering and helping to educate the next generation of coaches is really something that I'm passionate about.
In 2003, she became the first woman to achieve the UEFA Pro license, the highest coaching qualification available.
Well, for me personally, I think it just basically helped, you know, build my coaching. Obviously, the UEFA Pro license, first female, gave me a lot of kudos. I think it put me on a par. Well, it did put me on a par with men that have taken the course. So, and just to help my learning. So that was really good in terms of my own personal development. And I think for other women to see that other women could aspire to gaining such a prestigious award. So I'm not the only woman now, I was the first, so plenty more have come after me, and I'm sure plenty more will come. I think it just shows that regardless of gender, you know, and people do look at the gender, that women are as capable as men are in being at the forefront of the game.
She isn't ruling out coaching at the men's level in the future.
I say this all the time, it isn't about the gender, I think it's about career opportunities for me. If an opportunity presented itself, male or female, and I thought that it was a viable option, if I thought it was something I was really interested in, of course I would do it. I've been fortunate enough to, you know, I've worked in grassroots boys and girls, I've worked in adult football, I've coached men's sides, I've coached girls' sides. So for me it isn't about the gender. I have the qualification, I'm proven in a track record of coaching. As I said, it's a career opportunity. If you look at any other profession, if you look at an accountant, a doctor, but it's not gender, it's opportunities, number one, and can you do the job? So for me, it's if an opportunity presented itself and I liked it, yes, I would consider it.
Hope also played for England, making 66 appearances. She made her debut at age 16 and went on to play at the 1995 World Cup.
From what I can remember, because it was a long time ago, yeah, it was a challenge that I relished. I really believed that I was good enough, and I was. Fortunately, I got selected very young, and I just went with it. And for me, it was just playing football, and that's what I did, and that's what I loved. So I played with freedom and fun, and really enjoyed it. I was very young. But at the time I was good enough. It probably wouldn't happen now because there are different structures in place. But at the time we had one England team, and that was the senior team, and I was good enough at 16, so I played. I think the World Cup for women is a bigger stage, it's a bigger platform, there's more kudos around it, more attention. In '95 when I played, it was on a much smaller scale. It wasn't so visible to the outside world, but I did get the opportunity to play. But for the players that can play today, it's a fantastic opportunity. And I'm sure, you know, one day, hopefully, please God, Jamaica will be part of a Women's World Cup and do really well. When I was playing, it was training twice a week for an hour and a half. Now it's players train 5 days a week. I think specialists have come into the game, nutritionalists, psychologists, physiologists. That all raises the standards. The coaching is better than it was. The resources are better than they were. Money's now in the game. Certainly in a lot of European countries, female players now are professional. They can make a decent living out of being a footballer. When I started, that wasn't possible. So there's been massive changes. More money, more resources, more interest all round on a global front.
FIFA has recently mandated all countries participating in women's tournaments to increase their representation of females in the technical and administrative travelling staff. At least half of the team delegation should be females.
What's happening now, in my opinion, the game has grown to such an extent where it's become popular. You can earn a living from coaching in the game, there's more money, and with that there becomes more interest from both male and female. The problem is that more men are getting the jobs in the women's game, which is squeezing out women from the women's game. So it just gives an opportunity for women to work in the game, you know, as anybody else.
As for equality where the men's and women's games are concerned, Hope believes the female game still has a way to go before it can meet the demand of the men's game.
Yeah, I think you have to recognise that men's football has got probably 100 years start on women's football. So, you know, if you compare the two, women's football, I don't really like calling it women's football. It is football that just happens to be played by women, number one. It's important that we recognise that women's football, when you compare it, that the men's game has been around a lot longer. Therefore, sponsorship's been around a lot longer, resources have been around a lot longer. So women's football, the women's game is now getting to that stage. So what you have to do is, in my opinion, is make sure that the product is good enough, the game is good enough to attract interest of sponsors. That's certainly what we did in England. Have to make so therefore the coaches have to be better, the players have to be better, the football on the pitch has to be better, it has to look good. I call football the product. If the product is good, people will invest in it. It's like anything, isn't it? You know, if the product's good, people want to buy it. And that's the same with the women's game. The product has to improve. That's what we did in England. So if you're looking at Jamaica, if there aren't enough sponsors in the women's game, what they have to do is raise the level of the women's game.
She was in Jamaica last week to conduct a FIFA Women's Seminar. When we return, we hear Christopher Bender and Wendell Downswell about young players making the transition. As the debate continues as to whether the top schoolboy football players this season should be given a place in the national senior squad, the question was put to Wendell Downswell of Reno and Christopher Bender of Tivoli Gardens. The two are first willing to give them a go at the Premier League level.
We will continue along that trend. We have been looking, we have been searching, we have identified some players which I won't disclose just now, that we will be hell-bent on getting these youngsters as part of our unit. So therefore, what we want to do is to create a balance and provide that opportunity, especially for these young talented youngsters who we will give an opportunity to showcase their talent in the National Premier League, which is our ultimate competition as it relates to Jamaica's football. It can't be a household change as it relates to just bringing in youngsters. You have to get them to make the requisite transition in such a way that it does not disrupt, to make that transition so that they themselves will be able to embark on, because we have to give these youngsters a ray of hope. That, because if you look at the Caribbean, I don't think we have a nursery of this magnitude in any schoolboy competition anywhere, at both in athletics and in football. If you look over the years, the amount of players, quality players that the high school competition have produced, but yet we don't get that large volume of players making the requisite transition to the international level. And this is something that we will have to definitely focus on.
Players going into the national program out of high school now, and this is a question asked to me by some media practitioner. I have not seen any right now who could into the Premier League, into the national program right now. First of all, we have to see these players in a Premier League setting. We don't have any know what I can say. I watch all the football and all the excitement about certain players who are just learning the nuances of the game. And we're talking about national team. Once a schoolboy now is playing well and a lot of spotlight is on him, We are now talking about school-wide to make the transition from playing Manning Cup, which is a very weak competition in my perspective, to go straight to the Premier League. I think we have it wrong. I think we have it definitely wrong. Players play in the Premier League and feels that there is no reward, because when you look around, whether the Premier League or good our players play.
St. Elizabeth Technical are ISA the Costa Cup champions. They defeated Dinthill 1-0 to lift the title, their second hold in 3 years. But they had to wait almost 20 minutes after the final whistle to get their hands on the trophy. This, as ISA decided they would present the trophy indoor because they were unable to keep the Jubilant fans off the field. That didn't go down well with Stet's coach Omar Rambo Wedderburn, who believed they were being denied the chance of lifting the trophy in front of their fans.
This is Jamaica. Everything you put in this sweet nose are job. No man don't talk on my film from me. Oh, if I have me a PhD, see, don't have me a PhD.
However, good sense prevailed, and the officials returned outside to do the right thing as they were presented with a trophy for their 5th hold. Their first was in 1974, with others coming in 1999, 2009 and 2013. In part 2 next week, Shelton talks about his journey from Harbour View to Russia. I'm Adrian Brown, and on behalf of producer Brian Lewis, see you next week.